இந்தோனேசியாவுக்கு அரசுமுறை பயணம் மேற்கொண்டுள்ள இந்திய பிரதமர் நரேந்திர மோடி அந்நாட்டு அதிபர் பிரபோவோ சுபியாந்தோவுடன் இணைந்து 9ஆம் நூற்றாண்டைச் சேர்ந்த புகழ்பெற்ற பிராம்பணன் இந்து கோவிலில் வழிபாடு நடத்தினார்.
மோடி இடையில நம்முடைய இந்திய பிரசிடென்ட் மோடி என்ன இருக்காருன்னா ஒரு 11 டெம்பிள இந்தோனேஷியால யுனெஸ்கோ அக்ரிடேட் பண்ணிருக்காரு.
This is not the entire Prambanan complex. There are many other temples stretching to a 1-mile radius, and you cannot even reach them by walking.
Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim populated country, is home to an array of surviving Hindu and Buddhist structures.
How did Indonesia become the largest Muslim country in the world? To understand, we need to go back to before the time of Islam. Back then, the islands that make up Indonesia were influenced by Hinduism and Buddhism.
Rather than Hindu, because the largest religion in this area is Muslim, but the fact that everyone's visiting the Hindu temple, and I think it just seems like a very harmonious mix of religions and cultures here that is wonderful.
I just love that so many religions live together on the same island, because here it shows that Buddhism and Hinduism just can live peacefully next to each other, and I think that's so beautiful.
Did you know, for example, that Indonesia is the biggest Muslim majority country in the whole world? There's all sorts here, churches, temples, and folks from all over the world call it home.
Sobat MOSA Story, kedatangan PM India Narendra Modi ke Indonesia menjadi sorotan saat beliau mengunjungi salah satu candi terbesar di dunia. Beliau tampak kagum melihat kemegahan candi dan keberagaman budaya yang ada di Indonesia. Yang membuat beliau semakin takjub adalah kenyataan bahwa Indonesia sebagai negara dengan jumlah penduduk muslim terbesar di dunia, namun memiliki banyak candi megah yang tetap berdiri berdampingan dengan tempat ibadah agama lain. Ini menunjukkan bahwa keberagaman di Indonesia bukan sekedar slogan, melainkan bagian dari kehidupan sehari-hari masyarakatnya. Di Indonesia, masjid, gereja, pura, vihara, dan candi bisa berada di satu wilayah dan masyarakatnya tetap saling menghormati. Ini seperti satu kompleks perumahan, tapi versi spiritual. Beda alamat ibadah, satu RT toleransi. Kalau di negara lain beda keyakinan bisa bikin debat panjang, di Indonesia kadang yang bikin ribut malah soal parkiran pas acara besar. Hal ini bukan hanya membuat PM India kagum, tetapi juga banyak wisatawan mancanegara yang datang ke Indonesia merasa takjub dengan toleransi yang ada. Walaupun berbeda-beda agama, masyarakat Indonesia tetap menjunjung semangat persatuan dalam keberagaman. Jadi, kalau ada yang tanya rahasia Indonesia, jawab aja, resepnya sederhana. Beda-beda rasa, tapi tetap satu panci bernama Indonesia.
இந்தோனேசியாவுக்கு அரசுமுறை பயணம் மேற்கொண்டுள்ள இந்திய பிரதமர் நரேந்திர மோடி அந்நாட்டு அதிபர் பிரபோவோ சுபியாந்தோவுடன் இணைந்து 9ஆம் நூற்றாண்டைச் சேர்ந்த புகழ்பெற்ற பிராம்பணன் இந்து கோவிலில் வழிபாடு நடத்தினார். முன்னதாக இரு நாட்டு தலைவர்களும் பாதுகாப்பு ஒப்பந்தங்களை மேற்கொண்டதுடன் பிரதமர் மோடிக்கு இந்தோனேசியாவின் உயரிய விருதான பிந்தாங் அடி பூர்ணா வழங்கி கௌரவிக்கப்பட்டது. யுனெஸ்கோ பாரம்பரிய சின்னமான இக்கோவிலின் பாரம்பரிய பணிகளில் இந்திய தொல்லியல் துறை முக்கிய பங்காற்றியுள்ளது குறிப்பிடத்தக்கது என்று அந்நாட்டு அதிகாரிகள் வட்டாரங்கள் தெரிவித்துள்ளன.
மாசம் ஒரு 4 நாள் ட்ரிப் ஜோக்ஜகார்த்தா போலான்னு ஒரு ஐடியா பண்ணிருக்கிறேன். இது எப்படின்னா மோடி இடையில நம்முடைய இந்திய பிரசிடென்ட் மோடி என்ன இருக்காருன்னா ஒரு 11 டெம்பிள இந்தோனேஷியால யுனெஸ்கோ அக்ரிடேட் பண்ணிருக்காரு.
This is the largest Hindu temple in Indonesia called Prambanan. This is not the entire Prambanan complex. There are many other temples stretching to a 1-mile radius, and you cannot even reach them by walking. Most people take a car to go to all the temples. Imagine an ancient temple complex so large, you have to ride a vehicle to visit the structures inside of it. You can find many large temples in the same premises, which is why the Prambanan temple compounds has been declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. How did ancient builders create this world wonder?
Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim populated country, is home to an array of surviving Hindu and Buddhist structures. Here are 7 Hindu temples present in the Indonesian archipelago. Prambanan Temple. Located in Yogyakarta province of Indonesia, Prambanan Temple is the largest Hindu temple complex in Indonesia. Dedicated to Lord Shiva, this temple was built in the 9th century CE. Pura Besaki. Referred to as the mother temple of Balinese Hinduism, Pura Besaki is located in eastern Bali. Over 1000 years old, Pura Besaki has 3 main temples dedicated to the Hindu trinity of Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu. Uluwatu Temple. Dedicated to Lord Shiva as Rudra, this temple is located in Kagum province of Bali. The present structure was built in the 11th century by the Javanese sage Empu Kuturan. Pura Wilin Dami Beratan. Built in the 17th century, the temple complex is located on the shores of Lake Bratan. The temple is dedicated to the Hindu goddess of the lake, Devi Danu, and is also associated with Lord Shiva. Goa Gaja Temple. Goa Gaja or Elephant Cave is located on the island of Bali. Built in the 9th century, this cave temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva and Ganesha. Tanah Lot Temple. This temple is one of 7 sea temples around the Balinese coast. Built in the 16th century by Dang Hyang Nirarta, it is dedicated to the sea god Deva Baruna or Bhatara Segara. Tirtha Empul Temple. Famous for its holy spring water, this temple is located near the town of Tampak Sering in Bali. Dedicated to Lord Vishnu, this temple was built in the 10th century during the Varmadeva dynasty. These structures stand as silent witnesses to the enduring legacy of Indic civilization in Indonesia.
How did Indonesia become the largest Muslim country in the world? To understand, we need to go back to before the time of Islam. Back then, the islands that make up Indonesia were influenced by Hinduism and Buddhism, which arrived through Indian and Chinese traders from the 1st century AD. Under Hindu-Buddhist rule, the islands became major trading hubs. Islam began to spread sometime after the 7th century AD through Arab, Persian and Indian traders. By the 15th century, the Sultanate of Malacca promoted Islam, aided by a Chinese Muslim admiral named Zheng He. Around this time, the last major Hindu-Buddhist regional power began to decline due to rebellions. The Sultanate of Demak, another Islamic power that rose over the centuries, eventually defeated the Majapahit in the year 1527 AD. Now, the Hindu elites of the Majapahit fled to Bali, where Hinduism still remains strong to this day. With Hindu-Buddhist rule gone, Islamic sultanates flourished. And by the 17th century, Islam was the majority religion, with only Bali remaining Hindu-dominant. Today, Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim country by population, shaped by centuries of trade and politics.
Indonesia itu unik. Di sini, candi tetap megah, masjid tetap ramai, gereja tetap khusyuk, pura tetap indah, yang kadang nggak konsisten cuma sinyal internet. Banyak wisatawan asing juga mengaku heran sekaligus kagum melihat bagaimana masyarakat Indonesia bisa hidup berdampingan dengan damai meskipun memiliki latar belakang agama yang berbeda-beda. Semangat toleransi inilah yang membuat Indonesia sering menjadi contoh keberagaman yang harmonis. Perbedaan bukan dijadikan alasan untuk menjauh, tetapi menjadi kekayaan yang dirawat bersama. Jadi, kalau ada yang bilang Indonesia itu rumit, ya memang benar. Tapi, kerumitan kita itu seperti nasi campur. Banyak lauknya justru makin nikmat.
What is really beautiful, Dan, is there are a lot of ladies in hijabs here. I could be making a broad assumption here, but I would imagine that they are actually Muslim rather than Hindu, because the largest religion in this area is Muslim. But the fact that everyone's visiting the Hindu temple, and I think it just seems like a very harmonious mix of religions and cultures here that is wonderful.
So, Prambanan Temple is the biggest Hindu temple in whole Indonesia, and it is actually the second biggest Hindu temple complex in whole Southeast Asia, which is super impressive, and I feel so lucky to be here right now. We made it to the top. It's really dark, it's really humid in this cave, but behind me, I don't know if you can see it. Yes, there it is. There's a big statue of Shiva Mahadeva. This is the temple built for Shiva, which is stunning if you ask me. Actually, the fun fact is, because this temple, the middle one is for Shiva and you have Brahma and Vishnu, because we live in Bali, there are also the huge statues on the island. I just love that so many religions live together on the same island. Because here it shows that Buddhism and Hinduism just can live peacefully next to each other, and I think that's so beautiful.
Look at that structure. Look at that. Very striking. I feel like I've been planted on a different planet, or I can't explain this. It looks kind of Aztec at the same time. These are just my initial thoughts. It's very, very foreign. Swift entry into the Prambanan temple. There's a separate area for the foreign tourists. It's about $38 for entry. Some people might say that's a bit pricey, but you know, this is one of the biggest Hindu temples in Indonesia. I've never really seen structures like this in my life. Angkor Wat was good, but this seems to be in better condition and probably more well kept. It's like a valley of the kings, or if you close your eyes you can sense that energy. You can see warriors and sword fighting and kind of battles. That's what it feels like, and they've got that music in the background and it gives it a real kind of vibe in the area.
Did you know you can get a 1 hour and 30-minute flight from Bali to a city called Yogyakarta in Indonesia, and from there book a round-trip tour to visit the largest Buddhist temple in the world?
We've just landed in Yogyakarta, or I call it Yogyakarta, I don't know how to pronounce it.
From Yogyakarta Airport, you can get a 40-minute train ride into the main town. We stayed in a hotel near Malioboro Street, which is the main shopping street. The next day, we started our day tour at Prambanan Temple Compound, which is a complex consisting of 240 temples. When we arrived, there were actually lots of other tourists there waiting on the same tour, so we got separated into different groups and we got appointed this really amazing tour guide.
We funded this temple, no camera, no picture. That's when they made picture after.
Our tour guide was just explaining to us that back then they didn't have cameras to take photos of how these temples were built, and unfortunately quite a few earthquakes ended up knocking down the temples, but they were reconstructed using the same block.
But the problem here, there are two monkeys here, same.
It was so fascinating seeing these temples up close. It blew my mind that in the 9th century people hand-carved such intricate details into these blocks of stone. Now all of this is just the prequel to the main event, which is the Borobudur Temple.
I've just spent the day exploring the world's largest Buddhist temple, where every guest is given a free pair of shoes on arrival. So here is everything you need to know if you're planning to visit Borobudur in Indonesia. Hi, I'm Jess and I'm on country number 8 of my 8-month backpacking trip, and right now I'm exploring the island of Java. Java is famous for its waterfalls, volcanoes and of course its impressive temples, with one of the most notable being Borobudur. The temple itself is located an hour drive from the vibrant city of Yogyakarta, a city with so much to offer, and I'll be sharing my full guide to this soon. To get to Borobudur, you will either need to drive yourself, book onto a day tour with a driver, or take a taxi. We decided to hire a scooter from our guest house, and this cost us £9 for the day. You will also need to pre-book your timed entry ticket online before you arrive. Make sure your ticket includes access to the temple structure, as it's the best part of the temple, but tickets are limited. When you arrive, you'll be given a pair of special temple sandals to wear in order to preserve the stone, and you can then keep these as a souvenir from your trip. As this is a temple, you'll want to make sure you're wearing modest clothing, so this includes covering your shoulders and wearing long bottoms in order to be respectful. This temple was definitely one of the prettiest that I've seen during my time in Southeast Asia, and it was really interesting to learn some of the stories behind the carvings on the walls and their significance. And if you have the time, then also check out the famous Chicken Church, which is only a short drive from Borobudur and a fun addition to your day trip.
That's a chicken church. Most folk in Europe reckon they know Indonesia. First of all, it's not all about Bali. Indonesia has over 17,000 islands. Bali's lovely, from what I've heard, but it's just one tiny bit of the whole lot. Did you know, for example, that Indonesia is the biggest Muslim majority country in the whole world? There's all sorts here. Churches, temples, and folks from all over the world call it home. Chicken Church, for example, is just a little testament to tolerance. Not dedicated to any religion, it just served as a purpose that all religions are welcome here. And the food? There's way more than nasi goreng. Have you ever tried rendang? Been called one of the best dishes in the entire world. And tempeh. You tried that? Proper tasty, succulent, delicious. And vegans can't get enough of it. It's a fascinating kind of melting pot for diversity. It really is. And even within Islam, you'll see many different types of Muslims in Indonesia. But there is more to Indonesia than Bali. It is a humongous country. 300 odd million people live here. And I highly, highly recommend you check out more than just Bali.
Behind me is the tallest statue of Jesus Christ in the entire world. And it's not in a country you would expect. I'm not in Brazil. I'm not in Poland? You can take your guesses in the comments. I'm going to reveal the location in the end. In fact, I'm in a Muslim majority country. Let me show you around here and have a look at what the statue looks like from close up. So you can see there are quite a lot of people here, barely any foreigners, but lots of local tourists. And now I am right in front of the statue, and it is 200 feet tall, or 61 meters, which makes it 20 meters higher than the one in Brazil, like 40% higher than the famous statue in Brazil, which is crazy. It's a bit funny that you have to remove your shoes here. That's how you know you are in a Muslim majority country still. And as you can see, you can sit next to or on top of Jesus Christ's toes. And also, let me show you the location here. The surroundings are stunning with these lake views, and also the clouds here create a very nice atmosphere. So if you want to see the tallest Jesus Christ statue in the world yourself, then you have to come to Sumatra Island here in Indonesia.
Meskipun mayoritas penduduknya beragama Islam, memiliki banyak candi megah yang tetap berdiri berdampingan dengan tempat ibadah agama lain. Ini menunjukkan bahwa masyarakat Indonesia mampu menjaga harmoni di tengah keberagaman. Indonesia itu seperti grup keluarga besar. Isinya beda-beda karakter, beda kebiasaan, beda selera, tetapi tetap kumpul saat ada acara penting. Keberagaman agama di Indonesia bukan hanya terlihat dari banyaknya tempat ibadah, tetapi juga dari cara masyarakat saling menghormati. Inilah yang membuat banyak turis asing merasa takjub ketika datang ke Indonesia. Bahkan sebagian dari mereka mengaku bahwa praktik toleransi seperti ini masih sulit diterapkan secara sempurna di negara mereka sendiri. Karena itu, Indonesia sering dipandang sebagai contoh nyata bahwa perbedaan dapat menjadi kekuatan. Jadi, Sobat MOSA Story, kalau ada yang bertanya apa keajaiban Indonesia, jawabannya bukan cuma candi yang megah, tapi juga hati masyarakatnya yang mau saling menghargai. Itu baru benar-benar wonderful Indonesia.